Welcome to the third in the Ed DSLBD series of starting a green business in our Green Bean series, the Green Business Engagement and Networking Support. And today we're going to be talking about starting a green business. So first, we've covered in the last few sessions what is a green business and why is it beneficial to start one. So today we're going to dig into that, talk briefly, recap on what is a green business, identify the problem and the point of intervention that you want to solve with your business, the community need, how to generate both value and revenue using Lean Canvas, and then starting your business. We're going to cover a lot of content today, but I hope you'll help me by keeping the chat active and letting me know if you have questions as we go along. So what is a green business? We've covered this in the last two sessions, but a green business is a company seeking financial benefits that's seeking to make a positive impact on the environment, community, or economy. So best practices for sustainability, from environmental sustainability, how you're using resources, economic sustainability, and social responsibility. And today we're really going to be talking about those green products and services or a green process that can really be building sustainability through the very operations of your business. So we've also talked about a social enterprise, this idea that is, again, impacting economic, environmental, and social benefit. So today, as we think about how to start your green business that is really building on all three of these pillars, a triple bottom line that is creating, again, not just economic benefit in terms of revenue, but also environmental and social benefit. So when we think about sustainability innovation, and you're creating a green business that is really at its core driving sustainability innovation. It can be developing new technologies or applications of technology that are more sustainable, that can be applying creative models that have worked in other sectors to then solve environmental challenges, can be bringing stakeholders together, identifying new and shared connections towards sustainability goals, and then looking at sustainability challenges from a systems perspective. So the first step in all of this, and this is the first step in starting any business, is identifying the problem. What is the problem that you are motivated to solve, and where are the strategic intervention points? Now, this is not a presentation about all of the environmental problems we're facing, but feel free to put in the chat, what are some of those challenges that you're seeing in our communities? We know that we're seeing economic inequities, that we are seeing water pollution, that we are seeing increasing flood levels because of climate change. We're seeing rising heat during the summer here in DC. We're seeing increases in asthma, in other due to airborne pollution. So we know that we have many problems right here in addition to the global problems of waste in our waters, biodiversity, climate change. But it is really important to figure out what is the problem you are motivated to solve and where are the strategic intervention points. And to understand where the best intervention point is, we need to look at as a system. So systems thinkers move from thinking in linear patterns to circular patterns, from systems operating in isolation to relationships, and from parts to wholes. So I see systems thinking as essential in starting a green business because it also can inform where in the system we are going to make our intervention. The problems I named are huge, whether that's climate change or local flooding and urban heat islands. We want to see where we can intervene in such a huge problem. So this is an example. If we want to see more efficient vehicles on the road because we see that as an opportunity to address climate change, this is demonstrating a positive feedback loop that the more customers there are for electric vehicle or energy efficient vehicles, the more sales there will be, the more number of efficient vehicles on the road, which will lead to people seeing more efficient vehicles on the road, gaining familiarity, which will lead to more customers. So this positive feedback loop, your business might intervene at any point in this system. You might be a promotion company for electric vehicles, giving people free rides so that they then purchase their own vehicles. Or you might be in energy efficient vehicle design that is getting more of these vehicles on the road. So again, identifying where in the problem you are intervening, and so much of this is based on knowing yourself. We can look at an ecological system this way as well. Looking at any forest, we know that there are cycles of nutrients, of water, where nothing that is lost, trees die and then are reprocessed into new life. So at any point in that system, you can intervene to either decrease the amount of forest production or increase it. And so too in your business, looking at the problem you want to solve, that system that you're operating in, and thinking about where's the point for you to intervene. So we've started to look through these sustainability challenges. We've identified a point of intervention that we think can have impact. Then the question comes, where do these sustainability challenges and this point of intervention connect to community needs? Because you are not just operating to try to serve a forest growth or to increase electric vehicles or to reduce waste in our water in a vacuum. You're doing all of that in the customer base that you are trying to serve. And as you can see in many of the other InnoEd trainings, it's so important to understand that customer base. And in this case, to understand where sustainability challenges intersect with community needs. So where are those specific problems affecting my community? And where do those problems connect with sustainability? So sustainability challenges intersect with community needs every day. So if we're looking at waste in the Anacostia, there's a lot of litter that ends up in the Anacostia that intersects with community needs by making the river less accessible as a place to play, a place to fish and eat. And that's why there's been so much investment in cleaning that river, because that's also addressing that sustainability challenge of the ecosystem of the river, but also that community need. Then when it comes to the specific problems affecting my community, whatever you see as those challenges, whether that is a sense of disconnectedness, particularly now during COVID, well, where does that connect with sustainability? If I'm trying to bring people together after so long apart, how can I bring them together in our park spaces to increase the sense to which they are engaged, connected with each other and with the environment? Or if I see a specific problem affecting my community as jobs and employment, well then what is the way that my cleaning up the litter in the Anacostia is actively creating employment in my community? So maybe that's reprocessing, packaging into new materials. Maybe that's finding ways to pay people, to employ people in not just cleaning the river, but in doing the education around reducing that. If you're looking at energy, well, the specific problems affecting my community might be paying our energy bills. So how can I, in my business, be providing people with clean, efficient energy while also reducing their energy bills? So as you're thinking about the problem you're solving and your solution, you want to be thinking about how those connect to your community and the environmental needs you've identified. The other piece you obviously need to layer on is you. It is not just about identifying a problem, a point of intervention. It's also seeing what connects that community's challenge to my key strengths. So doing that strengths assessment of yourself in one of many strengths assessment tools. What can I bring? Am I an excellent chef? Well, how can I solve the problems I'm looking to solve using my incredible skill in the kitchen? If I'm an amazing connector, what is that? How can I leverage that in my business? If you work in IT, if you're a writer, you can use your strengths to be addressing those challenges. And you may realize what other strengths are needed in your team to be able to address the challenges that you've identified. So to get to these, we need to identify the intersection of community needs and those creative solutions. Two key pieces: research and understanding what exists already. So that research you can do in so many different ways. It's not just in front of a microscope in a lab. In fact, it is probably really that. It is connecting with your community, and it is understanding what those possibilities are. Again, our folks on the phone, if you can mute yourself, all the better. Otherwise, we will mute you. Thank you. So then understanding what exists. So much of innovation is applying something that exists, that succeeded in one sector or one location, and figuring out how you translate that to a new location or a new sector. So that might be applying emerging solutions like Bitcoin and other digital currency. How do you apply that to sustainability? Or if you're really passionate about ride sharing and seeing how Uber and Lyft have transformed transportation, well, how does that collaborative ownership, collaborative use of vehicles apply to waste, apply to energy? What does it look like to apply those solutions that you're passionate about, that you've seen succeed, to a new location? I lost the research thread, but a reminder that it doesn't have to be in front of the microscope, that you can do that through surveys, through community conversations, through prototypes, the pilot, experimenting with your business, and of course, census data. The DCPL has incredible data about community needs and of course about community challenges. So a great example of that is a zero waste co-op that emerged in the DMV that conducted dozens of surveys with passionate members of the community around what they would want to see to best reduce waste through their purchasing. And they were really able to design their business to meet the need of a community they already knew were trying to purchase with less waste. So again, we've identified a problem, a point of intervention. We figured out how we might be able to solve it. We test that hypothesis through this research, through seeing what's worked in other areas, and then we move into, okay, getting this business model together. And we use the Lean Canvas a lot. And you can find another training on the Lean Canvas, which is our Build a Dream training. Those are available online from the InnoEd team at DSLBD. But it's a logic model that allows entrepreneurs to test out ideas before they write a larger business plan. And it asks you again, what's the problem that you're solving, the problem for your customer, for your community, or for your planet? The solution. What is the solution that allows you to solve that problem? What's the key activity? How do you get there towards that solution? And then, and that will be the operations of your business. Unique value proposition. What makes your business unique in the marketplace? And then, very important, we'll get to more in a moment, the cost structure and the revenue. What are your expenses going to be, and what is your revenue? Where are all of the ways that your revenue is going to come from? So this is an example around plastic pollution. So we know plastic pollution is a global crisis, but going plastic free can take too much time, research, and too often is more expensive than the plastic alternative. So this business solution is to provide research and options for customers and businesses to buy plastic free. And so in addition to the research and consulting on the business side, there's a direct-to-consumer option of a subscription box and online sales. So the unique value proposition makes it easiest for businesses and consumers to buy plastic free, and that we're building our network and are following through our advocacy as well as through our sales. So the costs, obviously those startup costs for the business infrastructure, the subscription boxes and sales, inventory and shipping, and then the cost of marketing. The revenue is going to come both from the subscription boxes, a buy one, give one model, that when people buy one subscription box, we are able to gift one to someone who couldn't buy their own. And then a consultation fee scalable to your project. So this model is really looking at multiple revenue streams, but that are all coming from that core strength of this organization, which is that research and knowledge of what is possible, and through the buy one, give one, making it more affordable. So for many businesses that are trying to start as a green business, the cost structure and the revenue is the most challenging piece to get to. So when we're thinking about how we are selling our products and services, first create that triple bottom line value. If your business is creating a solution that is valuable for the environment, the economy, and the community, then you can look at, well, what are the revenue streams? The community will pay you ideally for the value you're creating for them. If not, if your customer won't pay you for what you are creating for them, then you either need to reassess or you need to find the partners and funders who do share those values. So an example of this here in the city is some of our stormwater retention credit as an example. So a small developer in a targeted stormwater zone may not be able to have households be able to pay to put in a rain garden or to replace concrete with permeable pavement. But developers in other parts of the city that are required to be having these stormwater retention features on their site can actually choose to pay someone in another part of the city to develop that rainwater infrastructure offsite. So a big development in the downtown business district could actually be paying to install rainwater systems in other parts of the city. So that's value for the community members that are having this permeable pavement, that are having a rain garden, because they are not seeing, though they will have less likely of flooding, they'll have environmental benefits, they'll have the aesthetic benefit of a rain garden. But it is of value to those developers to be creating that in order to use their own space for the amenities they want to have on site. Another example may be a solar. Solar is another example where you're creating obviously value for the residents who are seeing lower utility bills, but also you're creating value for the city in meeting our climate targets, and you're creating value for investors. So finding those partners and funders who share those values can enable you to be offering services to your customers. Education for young people is another example where your young people may not be able to be paying you for your teaching, but their parents might be, or the school district may be able to pay you to be doing that environmental education. So when you're thinking about the value you're creating, identify whether your customers can pay you for the value you're creating for them, or whether there's another partner or funder who is also trying to get the same value you are, perhaps for different reasons, and may be able to pay you for it. The importance in thinking in this way is because we cannot solve our problems with the same level of thinking that created them. So when we're looking at what are the solutions to these sustainability problems, we need to be thinking creatively about those partnerships, about ways that we're creating value both for the environment and for the community and for the economy in an equitable way. So in the next 10 minutes, we are going to do a flyby. You now have this business idea. You've gone through the business model canvas, you've developed a business model, and you've developed a financial value chain that can support you and your staff. We're then able to move to, how do I actually get my business started in the district? So in 8 minutes, I'm going to give you a flyby of those steps. So starting a business in the district, registering your business. To do that, you'll need to decide what organizational form fits your vision best, where you'll operate from. We'll talk more about both of those pieces. Register with DCRA, with the IRS, and the DC Office of Tax and Revenue. And that's how you will make your business legal and operational in the district. Then promote your business. So leveraging all of those channels to reach your customers and your clients that you identified in that business model canvas. and then funding your business. So sales, again, either to those customers or to the partners who are looking to see that same value, we see sales as the best, fastest, and often easiest way to fund your business. But of course, there are other ways. So when you're thinking about grants or loans for your business, consider who benefits from your work. Again, who is that value being created for, and who is currently paying for that value. I say this a lot with composting businesses. A composting business needs food scraps in order to generate compost, but who is really benefiting from that work? Obviously the city, obviously the planet, but restaurants are currently paying tipping fees to get rid of their food waste. Residents are currently paying in the form of rats in our alleys. So who is benefiting from this work, and are they willing to pay you for it? Because often we will forget that while the thing we need can actually be a benefit for someone else, and there is a way to either exchange goods or value in a financial form. So in terms of then getting into these logistics, the steps to obtaining a basic business license in the district is first to register to corporate registration and or a trade name. So doing business as, so if you're registering a business that is currently just you and you want to register as a sole proprietor, you can create a name for your business by registering a trade name. So Caroline Howe, doing business as Climate Solutions. So that would be registering your trade name. Register with the IRS for an employee ID number, that business equivalent to your social security number, and with the Office of Tax and Revenue in DC. Depending on where you're operating, getting a certificate of occupancy or certificate of home occupancy for your business. And then that basic business license application. Depending on the details of your business, you may need a different kind of license, but for many folks on the line, a basic business license is a place to start, and I'll tell you more about how to connect with DCRA to figure out why. So corporate registration, again, in that last step, if you are starting a business, you do need to register whether or not you're going to register as a corporation. So whether you want to register as a cooperative or a benefit corporation, a B Corp, a limited liability company or partnership, you do need to register your business with DCRA. And there are, of course, also sole proprietorships and general partnerships where the registration process is slightly different. But in terms of deciding the type of organizational fit that is best for you, DCRA corporations and the DC Bar Pro Bono Center are excellent resources. So when you're deciding the structure for your green business, timing is really important to consider. Many folks on the line may have been considering starting a nonprofit. A nonprofit can take a very long time and a fair amount of resources to start. So consider the time to set up the entity now. Do you need a nonprofit now? Or is that actually something that will be what you'll need later when you are actually at a scale where you're ready to accept grants? Of course, each ownership structure is taxed differently. The vision, what's your short and long-term vision? What role do you want partners and workers to play? If you want partners and workers to be, if you want workers to also be the owners of your company, a cooperative might be the right fit. If you want to limit the role that a board is playing, you may want a different type of organization. And then, of course, risks. If you are, the big difference between a limited liability corporation and a sole proprietorship, which are many of the businesses that we work with, is the liability that can come to you as an individual if something happens in your business. So that's also something, again, talk to DC Bar Pro Bono Center or DCRA corporations as you decide your structure. You are not alone in this. You've got help. The InnoEd team offers one-on-one technical assistance, as does the DCRA Small Business Resource Center, the DC Bar Pro Bono Center, and the Women's Business Center and Howard, as well as the Washington, DC Economic Partnership. Many green businesses also stumble in thinking about a space. So I want you to reconsider, do you need an office in order to start your business? Or can you think about other creative ways to use spaces? We know, since again, space is one of the most environmentally resource intensive parts of a business, how can you creatively be using your space? So we typically use spaces to meet customers, sell products, make our products, connect with your team, offer services, actually conduct your operations, whatever those look like, and store goods. So thinking you may need an office that does all 7 of these in one place. You may be able to meet those needs through a variety of shared spaces, whether that's co-working spaces or shared storage, or through, again, a home occupancy permit, if that's possible for you, partnering with retailers to sell your products, and using, again, we've learned in the past year, many digital tools to connect with your team. So before you feel like you need space to start your business, think about how you can be in your very beginning of operations, thinking about what spaces will make the most sense for you. And so consider, are you meeting your customers in person? Do you need people to come in to see your product and service? How else can you reach them? Is your location zoned for the activities you plan to conduct? Depending on the level of industrial nature of your business, that can be very important. And then look at what incentives exist for your type of business from developers, from the district, the main streets or great streets, the federal government. We use MVP or minimum viable product. Is there a space you can operate in now? And is there a space that you could then scale up to in the future? So in thinking about that, you again have so many resources at your disposal. We have a commercial lease workshop, one recorded and another one coming up. So as you're thinking about that element of starting your business, that is another piece to consider. Again, we really recommend if you have a green business you are trying to start, please do reach out to us. I will put our link in the chat. And I hope that you will join me for a one-on-one technical assistance session in the future to talk through how you start your business. We've covered a lot in this session, both the ideas and, of course, how to actually go about it. I am very grateful for all of your time, and we're going to end the recording here, but I will be here for any questions.